So this is now is now. So while we all live in Indian society, but look at this class. If we look at this class, we see there is one Ram, one Shaw, one Das, one Datta, two Mukherjees. So let us begin from this phase. Our surnames. Our surnames are not just our surnames. It doesn't denote a name only. To some extent, it denotes our sociological identity, especially when you are living in India, in an Indian society, because our sociological identity is not only established by our financial condition, but also our condition or our position in the caste system literally define our condition in the society. And then what is the caste system? You know, in general, in our society, since long, we have divided our population into four varnas. Then are the varnas the caste? No. The varnas are generally four. What are they? The Brahmins, the Vaishyas, the Kshatriyas, and the Shudras. As our mythology says, the Brahmins have originated from the creator Brahma's head. The Kshatriyas from his arms, the Vaishyas from lower abdomen and thighs, and the Shudras from the legs. And that defined their hierarchy in the society. So you can understand that in the hierarchy of the social division, the Brahmins were those who were to receive education, and all creative tasks were given to them, and also the ritualistic tasks, because during those days they also involved creativity. The Kshatriyas, who were born from the arms of Brahma, this is all said in the mythology, they were given the acts of protection. They belonged to army, they learned warfare, they had armory trainings, and such things. The Vaishyas are generally the farmers and the businessmen. And the Shudras, the lowest part, they stay at the bottom of the pyramid or the bottom of the civic body. And therefore, what does your feet do? It takes the load of the whole body. The Shudras are to take the load of the whole body, but this is the list. You know, you can understand that we wash our face, we wash our hands, but the feet, or rather our foot, they are least cared part of the body. And that is same about the Shudras. They are to take the load of the other three varnas. Look, I'm not using the word caste yet. Varnas. And they are to serve them. They are to serve them. The civic rights were limited to the other three varnas, whereas the Shudras didn't even have the right to make some property for themselves. But still, they were considered a part of the society. although the marginal section of the society, but they were considered a section of the society. However, as days progressed, different professions arose, different positions arose, and population of each varnas literally increased. And therefore, different varna or in a single varna, we could find different groups with different rituals, with different culture, or with different works or different defined works. Like if you look at the laborer class, some were farmers, some were, or rather, if you look at the Vaishya class, some were farmers, some were uh, businessmen, some were uh, fishermen, some used to, or rather, they were indulged in different, or they were divided in different groups in a single varna. These small groups were called castes or jati. In India, they were called jati. But then caste, the name was given later. I'll come to that. So there is a difference between the varnas and the jati. Literally, varnas are the larger sections, and jatis are the smaller sections or smaller divisions in the varnas. However, you will find that, especially amidst the lower two varnas, the Vaishyas and the Shudras, different people were given different works in the society. But in spite of that, some of them lost their importance and they were made outcasts. তাদেরকে সোসাইটি থেকে বাইরে বার করে দেওয়া হচ্ছিল। Okay, why and how? You will have so many explanations. You will find that apart from the people who are included in the four varnas in Indian demography, if you study it from the perspective of anthropology, you will find that several sections of people were not included in these varnas because they were not considered to be created by Brahma. One major thing could have been obviously their religious belief, who didn't really believe in the traditional Hinduism, like যাদেরকে আমরা tribal বলি. These people do not think that they are created in the same process as the Hindus. They have their own different origin theory, the Kol, Wheels, Urao, Mundas, and certain other sections of the Shudra castes were found doing so abominable works that it was thought that literally attributing their origin to Brahma would be an insult to Brahma himself. Therefore, they were also considered to be outcasts, unseeables, untouchables. So, look, when you come to the question that who are Dalits, you need to understand that the Dalits are outside the caste system and outside the Varna system. The Varnas are the four major sections of the Hindu social structure. And then the Varnas have several small clusters. These clusters are called Jati. But at least the people who belong to these Varnas are considered that they are created by Brahma or they originated from Brahma. But there are certain sections of the society, mainly the aboriginals, and also certain sections of the lower caste Hindus who at certain points of time started being considered as not created by Brahmas because of the abominable works, quote unquote abominable, to the upper caste society, যাদের কাজগুলো খুব abominable মনে হয়, লাইক যারা এই ম্যান হলে ভাঙড় যান, ময়লা পরিষ্কার করে, লোহার, এদের এই যে দীর্ঘদিনের কাজগুলো, যে কাজগুলোকে মনে করা হচ্ছে those which are thought abominable works, like not the farmers who have lands, but the land laborers who didn't have any property. এই লোকগুলোকে, they are literally kept outside the formal social structure. They are called the Dalits. এখন তোমরা বলতে পারো why and how these people suddenly were considered as not being created or originated from Brahma. এটা ঠিক করে এই সময়ে দাঁড়িয়ে at least trace করা যায় না. There are so many reasons, but one of the reasons are their occupations. Another, obviously, the domination by the upper caste people. If you make some of them outcasts, you just divide them, a smaller section of people, keep them outside the society. You are at your liberty to oppress them, torture them. তোমার কিছু free labor তৈরি হয়ে গেল। দলিত সিস্টেমটাই এমন, এদের সার্ভিস নেওয়া যায়, বাট এদেরকে কোনো civic right দিতে হচ্ছে না। So when you are not letting them in civic rights, তাহলে civic right concentrated হচ্ছে তোমার শেয়ারটা বেড়ে যাচ্ছে। তাই obviously ওই লোয়ার কাস্টের থেকে কিছু কিছু পোর্শনকে, it has been a historical tendency to make them go outside the caste system and point them out as more condemnable, more abominable section of the society. And forget about the aboriginals. ওরা তো নিজেদের মনেই করে they do not belong to Hinduism, so therefore they are outside the system. The Kol, Bhil, Orao, Munda, okay, these sections of the people. So Dalit bolle amra kintu, if you want to know the meaning of the Dalit at origin, যাদেরকে দলিত বলা হচ্ছে, তাদেরকে বললে কিন্তু আমরা, we will never talk about SC, ST, OBC, এদের কথা একসঙ্গে দলিত বলবো না। অরিজিনালি দলিত টার্মটা হচ্ছে তাদেরকেই বলা হয় যাদেরকে সোসাইটিতে কাস্ট সিস্টেমের বাইরে বার করে দিচ্ছে হিন্দু বা বর্ণ হিন্দুরা। The Varna Hindus are literally thrashing these people outside the caste system in order to dominate over them. These people are called Dalits. এবং তার মধ্যে তুমি শিডিউল ট্রাইবটাকে ইনক্লুড করে নিতে পারো, বিকজ দলিতের যে কনসেপ্টটা আউটসাইড দ্য রিলিজিয়াস পেরিফেরি or not being originated from Brahma, সেই জায়গায় কিন্তু these people are also included. Now come to a very different phase. In 1853, Karl Marx was writing that generally, if you look at the Indian society, the improvement of the British industrialization in the colonies like India, they will literally ring the death bell of the caste system or the Varna system, because they will give impetus to the labor system. The labor will get wage, and that will define the place of the labor in the society, not his caste, but his skill. And therefore, at a certain point of time, he or she will earn respect in the society if he can or she can earn some money or certain point of time. At certain point of time, people will be valued on their jobs, their skills. Okay, Marx bolche. But we know at least that today, if we speak on 19th of July 2022, India has to boast because the people of India has elected its first Dalit president. It had to take 80 long years after independence, after we celebrated our constitution and our human rights. After 80 years, we are having our first scheduled tribe woman president. And calculate back 5 years, we had to wait for 75 long years to get our first Dalit president. And very importantly, we still do not have any scheduled tribe prime minister, or we still do not have any Dalit prime minister. Now you tell me how pertinent the question of Dalit studies become when you think about the date we are having our class. And we know that a certain political party with casteist outlook, Hinduttvadi outlook, are talking about Dalit presidents and scheduled tribe president. Showing that how sympathetic that political party is for the Dalits. And just one need to ask them that why don't you feature a Dalit candidate or an Aboriginal candidate as your prime minister? So we are still using the Dalit card, we are still playing the Dalit card. And that's where study on Dalits become pertinent. Subject Ovijit is Dalit studies. Okay. So now let us talk about the origin. You know, Umesh Chandra Bandyopadhyay, he was the president of Congress Party. The first section of Congress Party that talked about social reformation was called Social Conference. And after Social Conference was abolished, it got abolished, in 1892 at Allahabad, at a certain point, Umesh Chandra Bandyopadhyay, obviously a Bengali, he raised question regarding caste system. Think about this. This is the year 1892. And after 50 years, in 1940s, Ambedkar had to raise the same question for the Congress Party. That are you ready to take the responsibility of the country when you think that a larger section of the society cannot still touch the threshold of the school? Okay. And also he asked in the book Annihilation of Caste that are you ready to take political liability of the nation when you still don't allow a large section of the society to walk on the road with the others? And you know, still we read a kind of history where we read about the 1930s salt satyagraha. We read about it, we read about Gandhi, but we do not read about another satyagraha that happened in 1927 under the leadership of Ambedkar. The satyagraha is called the Mahad Satyagraha. You know, because we have still the colonial hangover. And when we read a post-colonial history, we only talk about our cultural Mahad. Rakesh, it is called Mahad. We still have, you know, our, what I would say, a kind of cultural resistance against the coloniality. We talk about that. Satyagraha was much cultural than physical. You know it. So, in the same context, we do not read Mahad Satyagraha. Why? Because it was a satyagraha done by the larger section of the Indian society, the Dalits, against the Brahmins and upper castes. Not only the Brahmins and upper caste, the Varna Hindus, যাদের মধ্যে কিন্তু the Shudras also belong to them. Not all scheduled castes are Shudras. Some scheduled castes are Dalits. The Shudras are included in the Indian Varna system. The Dalits are not. এই জায়গাটা মাথায় রাখবে। Ambedkar in 1927 arranged this Mahad Satyagraha. And you know what happened? It took place in Maharashtra. And to protest against the oppression done in the name of casteism. These people, the Dalits, they went into a pond used by the Varna Hindus in Mahad and drank water from it. And the very next day, the Varna Hindus, in which the Shudras were also included, they went to the pond and literally they performed the purification of the water by literally polluting it with 108 features full of cow dung and cow urine. And that's what they called purification. You know, from this stage of Mahat Satyagraha, Ambedkar also made several striking appeals. The Dalit women had to tattoo on their body the signs, looking at which from a distance the common people would know that they are Dalit women and therefore keep a distance from them because they were untouchables also. Ambedkar said that just rub it out from your body. মুছে দাও এই চিহ্নগুলোকে। Ambedkar also said that they must practice wearing saris and covering their bodies in a way the Varna Hindus would do. It was a very interesting fact that the Dalit women were not allowed to cover the full of their body, like the Varna Hindu women. They were not even allowed the right to dress and cover their shame. Ambedkar for the first time asked them to wear sari like the other Varna Hindus. যেভাবে ওরা পড়ছে সেভাবে তোমরা শাড়ি। And there we must note the names like Lakhibai Titnis, Indirabai Chitre, who first started wearing saris like the Varna Hindus. And you know, one very interesting aspect of this movement, literally it will shock you, you know. তোমাদের এটা শক দেওয়া ছাড়া কিছু করবে। You know, Gandhi called this movement a devilish force. Duragraha. Gandhi was against these movements. It's literally shocking. We call him the father of the nation. But in disguise, he was one of the worst politicians. Gandhi's philosophy is something else. But Gandhi's politics and his opinion regarding caste are very different things. So we are talking about caste. Let me know that, or let me tell you, sorry, that India was divided into 4 Varnas, and the Varnas, the clusters, the small clusters that came under the umbrella term of the Varnas, or the 4 Varnas, they were called Jati or Jat in India. The caste word came from the colonizers. In the 16th century, the Portuguese colonizers, they called the word Jati castus in Latin. They called it in Latin castus. Okay, castus. And from that word, they derived the term caste. So it was not also a term originated by the British people. The term caste for the jati was given for the first time by the Portuguese colonizers. Now, what is the basis of this caste system? We end this discussion here. আমি আরেকটা লিংক দেব, সেখানে আমরা শুরু করব বেসিসটা দিয়ে, আর আরেকটা ক্লাস করাবো, সেটা করাবো দলিত লিটারেচারের উপর। আজকে আমরা দলিত সিস্টেমটা নিয়ে একটু পড়বো।